What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Attacker Productions. Today I have Bancroft doing all once again to go over a deck profile. Not just any deck profile, but my new Tien deck profile. Before we get into like always, just buttons up below, feel free to click them there for a reason. But let's get into today's profile. So this deck I took to my locals last weekend, where I managed to get first place. Now I will say it was a lot smaller locals this time around, but this deck did perform very well, and we're going to kind of go over it. So if you're not familiar with this leader, when this card attacks, you draw one card, then add up to one card from your life to your hand. Activate main, add up to one green Chaozu with energy cost, with 5,000 power or less from your deck to your hand. Shuffle your deck, look through it, and negate the skill for a game. So you can only do it once per. It's a turn one, pretty much. Activate main helps pull cards out of your deck, and potentially gets you a blocker for your opponent's first attack. You awaken when your life is 4 or less. You may play 3 multi-form tokens to your battle area, and switch up to one of your energies active mode, which is pretty nice. So there's no draw on the awakening, which is fine, but you do get a lot of combo power out of those tokens, and those tokens benefit you on your awakened side. So when this card attacks, draw 1, it gains 5,000 power for battle, but also has a secondary auto. If you have a total of 3, this is where it gets a little iffy or annoying. You have to have 3 Tien Shinhan cards and or multi-form tokens in play in your battle area to get this effect. So if you have 4, will not work. You have to have 3. But if you have 3, when this card attacks, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, energy cost 4 or less, KO it, and then this card gains crit for the turn. So it's a 20k crit on swing as long as you have 3 Tiens on board. So that's kind of the goal. You want to keep Tiens on the board, that way you get benefit, maximize this leader. So turn 1 plays is either you're pulling the Chaozu to your hand, which Chaozu is a blocker, and then if your leader card is green, Tien Shinhan. When this card is KO, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand. Play up to 1 green Tien Shinhan card with energy cost 3 from your deck, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. The card you play with the skill can't attack until the end of your next turn, so typically you would block with this. If you want to do the Self-Awaken, go ahead, take to life. Then you play a 3-drop Tien. And our one that we typically grab is the one with Barrier. It's from the old TB2 set. And it's it. The active main doesn't really matter because we don't play the trading moves, Mercenary Tau. It's just a body that has barriers. So this Tien will always be... In typical fashion, this Tien will stick. And it will stay on board, which is pretty nice. So it's just a good turn 1. Or... I don't play a lot of hand control, but trading blows with Son Goku is always a great turn 1 play against your opponent as well, especially if you go first. And if they were to, say, sideboard 4 Debors, because we are playing at our locals the best of 1 sideboard right now. They're like, oh, it's green. So, all right, put Debors in. Turn 1, they can't Debor this. So it's like, boom, you play, now your opponent removes a card, and it's kind of like equal playing field. You start your turn with 6 cards, they'll start their turn with 6 cards. So either, if you have one of your 1-drops, like say your opponent doesn't attack you, or you choose not to block and you have cards on the board, we benefit from having battle cards, especially World Tournament card on our board. And the first card we benefit from that, or I guess Tien would have worked as well if you blocked, is the 3-drop Mercenary Tau. Activate main, if you have 1 green World Tournament card in play, you play this card from your hand, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 1 or less and KO it. You cannot play this twice in a turn, or yeah, you can't activate copies. Pretty much it's a limit 1 before limit 1 was a thing. The auto for the 1 green we don't worry about because we don't play the 4-drop Mercenary Tau, so who cares? It's just for 1 energy cost, a battle card 15k to swing your opponent for early aggression. And then once you get into later games, for 1 energy, you activate main because they did errata this, so it's not auto. If all of your energy is green, you have a green battle card in play. You play this card from your hand and add up to 1 card from your life to hand. So once again, it's another way to just help self-awaken if you haven't awakened by this point yet. But what's cool with this card is that it's unique. It's very the permit though. If your opponent has 3 or more energy and you have a Tien Shinhan the long-awaited rematch in play in your battle area, this card gains 10,000 power and triple strike. And once you establish this Goku for only 2 energy, you can play that Tien. If you have a Son Goku the long-awaited rematch in play, you play this card from your hand. It has the flex, so it is coming into play to get this auto, which is pretty nice. When this card is played, choose all of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 5 or less and KO them. And then the permanent is this card can't be played from any area other than its own skills. So for 3 energy, you're initially clearing your opponent's board, getting a triple strike 25k, and then a double strike 20k on board, which is pretty nice. As long as you maintain this wide board aggression, we do play the announcer play by pro. Never really uses for the negate. We just use it for the auto. During your turn, when you play this card, if there are two more World Tournament cards other than this card in play, you draw 2 cards. So initially, it's pay 1 energy to draw 2. You can't go wrong with that. But a negate we do play at this World Tournament is the promo Tien from the Championship 2021. Yep. What's great with this card is that when you negate this card, it is played in rest mode, but during your turn or during your opponent's turn, when this card is restood, when this card is used in a combo from your battle area, you play 1 multiform token in rest mode. So initially, when you negate this card and your opponent passes and this card stays on board, if you swing, if you have 3 Tiens already on board, you're good to go. And then you combo this one off. You maintain the crit because the auto's already gone off, but then it puts a 3rd Tien back on the board for you. So it replaces itself, which is pretty nice. And then we play 1 of the King Piccolo Limitless Power. It's just a really good free play initially. So activate main, if you have 4 more energy, you may choose 2 World Tournament cards in your battle area, negate their skills for a turn, place them in their owner's drop area. If you do, you play this card from your hand, and your opponent can't. And you can't. Obviously, it's limit 1 before limit 1's thing. So initially, once you go wide, or if you have a bunch of like just 1 drops on the board that don't matter, there you go. You just pop 2 of them to play this guy as a 20k double strike, just for that additional aggression. So all these cards right here we just went over are all World Tournament cards. Kind of the focus of the deck. And what helps kind of see these is our Unison. We play Launch, the wild one, which actually +1 search your top 5 cards for a World Tournament card. Add it to your hand. It does also add a heroine card to your hand as well. I do play 1 heroine card, and we'll kind of go over that when I get to that point. The -1 is really great, especially if you kind of hold off on using the +1. So activate main, choose any number of your opponent's battle cards whose total energy costs add up to 3 or less, and then KO them since it says add up to. What I like doing, if your opponent potentially plays one of the blocker negates, you can just turn around, -1, clear the board that way, because it adds up. It's not 3 or less, so it works out. Other unisons we play, 1 of the Golden Friezas. The +1 is really great. It's just you draw a card, you put a card back top of your deck. Now it's a 15k crits on your opponent, or you play it for 2 just to crack it for -2 to the end of your opponent's next turn. Your opponent can't attack with battle cards unless they choose one of their battle cards with energy costs 2 or more and place it in the drop area. And 1 of the Agent Instruction Vegeta. It's just really good. For 4 energy, it practically wipes the whole board. Double strike crit +1 gives it another 5,000k, so it's a 25k double strike crit. You can't go wrong with that. So now with these unisons, we have access to other cards, such as the Counterplay Frieza. You play it in your opponent's turn, pop a card that you don't like, and then if this card stays on the board and goes your turn, you just pay 1 energy to play Zamasu on top of it. I mean, you just swing 20k, indestructible. Your opponent has to remove a card from your hand on swings. And then you got your nice little free negates, which are, boom, dormant. It doesn't negate the attack, but your opponent only can attack 1 more time after this set attack. Additional negates, 2 Majin Buus, 2 Homicidal Clones. They're just good negates to kind of control your opponent's attacks, either by making them pitch to a card, or initially stopping 2 attacks, either by paying the 2 for it, or taking the life for it. Speaking of negates, I also play the Secret Rare Pan, just because your board can go really wide. So if you want to negate this, you can, or you could just play it during your turn. It's a 40k single strike that you can give a double strike to. So for super combos, I play 3 of the Great Saiyamans and 1 of the Skill Still Chilai, just because the ability to choose up to 1 of your opponent's leader cards or unison cards and switch to rest mode is just really strong. Especially if they, like, against certain blue matchups, if they choose to swing with the leader first to maximize, like, a draw, then you just tap the unison down, or vice versa. So just have a little bit of control is really nice. And then if you happen to get board wipe, I do play 2 of the Hasty Dispatch of Dispos, and even though the card it plays by warping it from your drop to your warp has skills negated, once you pass turn, Chaozu's a blocker again, and then you can initially just slowly work your way back up the chain by blocking, replaying a Tien but still in your deck, and going from there. Overall, the deck played really nicely. I did enjoy it. Since we are doing sideboards, I'll kind of go over that real quick. It is best of 1, so you have to kind of pick and choose what you're adding, because you just by seeing a leader, you really don't know what your opponent's going to be playing, but you can always just assume. So in most cases, I was always siding in a 4 Frieza just because I was playing a lot of black decks, so the overrun was really strong with them, so it just worked out for that. 2 Blue Impulse, just it's a board wipe if they play cards on your turn. 2 Realm of Gods Champa. For Floodgate controls, the Doria. Once again, playing best of 1 sideboard, it's kind of hard to know if your opponent's playing a lot of Floodgate cards. So that really didn't see a lot of play this past weekend. Surprise Attack Frieza, just because you do have the ability to pop cards. So 1 additional Golden Frieza, just in case I feel like I need my Unison. And like I said, you can't go wrong with the crit here. 2 Goku Solar Flares, only because it is a negate the attack, but if your leader card is Green Son Goku or a World Tournament card, choose up to 4 of your opponent's battle cards. Those cards can't activate block or shields within a turn, and then if your leader card is Son Goku, which it's not, so we don't care about the draw one. But the activate main is really strong, so like if you start to swing, your opponent once again plays like a negate blocker, you just pay the 1, and then you swing with another card, and they can't block up that card from here on out. 1 shield, just because for 2 energy, you discard this card from your hand, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost less than or equal to the number of cards in their hand, ignoring barrier, and you KO it. So it just gets rid of problematic cards if my opponent was playing certain problematic cards. Like if I was playing against a yellow and they played Slug, this would be really good, just kind of side into it and just draw it. That way when they play 3-drop Slug, I can just pay 2 to pop it, and if they want to reestablish it, they can go ahead and reestablish it. And just in case I came across anything in hand control, 2 Deboras, just because it's a pay 1 to play it and draw 2, just because your opponent makes you pitch a card. So that is my Tien deck. Hope you all enjoyed that. Keep in mind there's buttons down below. Feel free to click on the deck for a reason. But read your cards and know your plays and fluff out.